Imagine walking into a bank with $12 in your checking account. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The line is long, and when it's finally your turn, the teller barely looks up. Now imagine walking into that same bank with $25 million. Suddenly, someone opens the glass door before you even touch it. You're offered coffee. A relationship manager appears out of nowhere. There's a private office waiting upstairs. Same building, same bank, completely different world. That's the hidden reality of modern bank. Banks don't just store money, they rank people by it. And the higher your wealth climbs, the more the system quietly changes around you. Different perks, different rules, different treatment. Today, we're going level by level from broke all the way to ultra wealthy to reveal how banks actually treat you at every stage of wealth. And trust me, some of these differences are insane. Because here's the thing nobody tells you growing up. Banks are businesses. And just like any business, they prioritize customers who make them the most money. So while one person waits on hold for 45 minutes over a declined debit card, another person can text their banker at midnight to move $1 million overseas. Let's start at the bottom. At the $0 level, or honestly, negative dollars, banks see you as high risk and low value. This is where millions of people live financially. Maybe your account balance hovers near zero. Maybe you overdraft sometimes. Maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck. At this level, banks aren't really trying to help you build wealth. They're trying to monetize your instability. Think about overdraft fees. A coffee purchase hits before your paycheck clears, and suddenly you owe $35 on a $4 transaction. Multiply that by millions of customers, and banks make billions every year. And the crazy part? Most people trapped at this level pay the highest fees relative to their income. Minimum balance penalties, ATM fees, late fees, monthly maintenance fees. It's expensive to be broke. And psychologically, banks know this group rarely negotiates. They know many customers don't understand financial systems deeply enough to fight back. So customer service becomes robotic. Everything is automated. Apps replace humans. You're not a relationship, you're an account number. Now move up slightly. Maybe you've got a few $1,000s saved, around $1,000 to $10,000 in the bank. This is the average working person tier. The bank treats you a little better now. Maybe they start offering you a credit card. Maybe you get pre-approved emails for a car loan. Suddenly the bank starts sounding friendlier because now you're becoming profitable. At this level, banks love selling debt, credit cards, personal loans, auto financing, buy now, pay later offers. Why? Because interest is one of the biggest money printers in the financial world. If you consistently carry balances or finance purchases, you become incredibly valuable to the bank over time. But here's where things get interesting. The bank still doesn't really want you wealthy yet. Not truly wealthy. Because financially educated customers borrow strategically, avoid unnecessary fees, and question bad financial products. The average customer is actually more profitable than the financially independent one. Now let's hit the six-figure saver level, somewhere around $100,000 in savings or investments. This is where the bank's tone completely changes. Suddenly you're qualified for premium accounts. You get invitations to private banking webinars. Maybe a banker actually calls you personally. And what changed? Honestly, not much. You're still shopping at normal stores, still driving in traffic. But from the bank's perspective, you crossed an invisible line. You now have assets worth protecting and potentially investing through them. This is where banks start pitching wealth management. They'll offer financial advisors, retirement planning, investment portfolios, and exclusive credit cards with travel perks. The language shifts too. You're no longer just a customer, you're a client. That word matters. It signals status. But here's the catch. This level is where many people get trapped looking rich instead of becoming rich. Luxury credit cards, bigger mortgages, expensive car leases. The bank wants your lifestyle inflated because lifestyle inflation keeps you dependent on income, and dependency creates long-term banking customers. Now we move into millionaire territory. $1 million plus. This is where the experience becomes almost unrecognizable compared to normal banking. At this level, banks assign relationship managers whose entire job is keeping you happy. Your calls get answered immediately. Problems get solved faster. Rules become more flexible. Fees disappear. Why? Because wealthy people bring opportunities, investments, referrals, business connections, loans, assets under management. And something fascinating happens here. Banks start helping you use debt differently. Poor people borrow to survive. Middle-class people borrow to consume. Rich people borrow to leverage assets. A millionaire might take loans against investments instead of selling stocks. They might finance real estate using low-interest credit while their assets continue growing elsewhere. The wealthy learn that debt, when used strategically, can actually make money instead of destroy it. And banks love facilitating this because wealthy borrowers are statistically safer. Think about that for a second. The richer you become, the cheaper money gets. A struggling struggling person might pay 25% interest on a credit card. A millionaire can borrow against assets at a tiny fraction of that. The financial system literally rewards people for already having money. And this is where ordinary people begin noticing the two different economies. One economy for workers, another for asset owners. Now let's jump higher, around $5 to $10 million. This is the private banking world. And honestly, most people have no idea how different this level operates. At private banks, you're not standing in line anymore. In some cases, you never even visit the branch. You have direct phone numbers to bankers who handle almost everything personally. Wire transfers, international accounts, investment opportunities, tax coordination, estate plan. Some banks host private events for wealthy clients, luxury dinners, golf experiences, networking gatherings with CEOs and investors. Why? Because wealthy clients attract other wealthy clients. Money networks with money. And the biggest difference at this level isn't convenience, it's access. Average people are offered savings accounts. Wealthy people are offered opportunities, exclusive investments, private equity deals, specialized tax strategies, business financing. The financial system starts opening hidden doors that most people never even knew existed. This is also where reputation starts mattering more than paperwork. A wealthy individual with strong assets can often secure massive loans faster than a middle-class person trying to finance a used car. Banks assume competence when wealth is visible. That assumption alone changes how people treat you. Now we arrive at the ultra-high net worth tier, $25 million and beyond. This is where banking transforms into concierge-level financial engineering. At this stage, banks don't see you as a customer. They see you as an ecosystem. Your money influences investments, real estate, businesses, philanthropy, trusts, and entire networks of professionals. You may have private bankers coordinating with lawyers, accountants, tax strategists, and investment firms simultaneously. Entire teams manage risk, preserve wealth, and create structures designed to protect assets across generations. And perhaps the wildest part? The ultra-wealthy often borrow enormous amounts of money despite being extremely rich. Why? Taxes. Instead of selling assets and triggering taxes, they use low-interest loans backed by investments. This strategy allows wealth to keep compounding while minimizing taxable events. It sounds backwards to normal people because most of us were taught debt is dangerous. But at the highest levels, debt becomes a financial tool instead of a burden. And banks compete aggressively for these clients. Some private banks require millions just to open an account because wealthy customers are so profitable. One billionaire client can generate more revenue than thousands of ordinary checking accounts combined. But here's the uncomfortable truth behind all of this. The financial world is not designed equally. The more money you have, the more advantages appear. Better rates, better service, better opportunities, better information. And this creates a cycle. Wealth generates access. Access generates more wealth. Meanwhile, people at the bottom pay the highest relative costs just to participate in the system. Now, before this turns into doom and gloom, there's an important lesson here. Understanding the system is powerful because once you see how banks actually operate, you stop taking financial advice personally. Banks are not your family. They are businesses optimizing profit. That doesn't mean banks are evil. It means incentives matter. If you understand incentives, you can start using the system more intelligently instead of emotionally. For example, financially successful people often focus heavily on building assets, not just income, because assets change your relationship with banks completely. Even small investments can slowly shift you from being a fee-paying customer to someone the bank wants to keep happy. And another thing wealthy people understand, negotiation matters. Most bank fees, rates, and terms are more flexible than people realize. But confidence changes conversations. A person who understands leverage asks better questions. Maybe the biggest mindset shift is realizing that wealth isn't just about buying expensive things. Real wealth changes how institutions respond to you. It changes your options, your stress levels, your time, your access. That's why two people can walk into the exact same bank and experience two completely different realities. One gets penalties, the other gets privileges. One is sold survival products, the other is offered wealth-building strategies. And the scary part? Most people never notice the transition happening. So the next time you see luxury banking lounges, black cards, or private wealth offices hidden above city streets, remember this. Those aren't just status symbols. They're signs that the financial system has layers most people never get to see. But now, you've seen behind the curtain. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more deep dives into money, psychology, and the hidden systems shaping everyday life. And comment below what surprised you most about how banks treat different levels of wealth.